the second hour of Authentic News right here on RBN Live this 28th day of April 2025. So far, we have one caller on the list. The lines are open. Take this opportunity. I especially encourage first-time callers to join. This is for you. John in Michigan, join the conversation, John.
Well, Jim, I appreciate your last hour or two. It was quite informative. And I did send you an email in regards to our country being sold out. And this is for everyone. It's called America Sold Out, the most heinous crime in American history. I don't know if you've opened it yet or not, but it comes from the Liberty Beacon. And the Liberty Beacon was Roger Landery's website, and he worked with John Stadtmiller on this before John passed. But what he talks about in this is the Act of 1871, and he says in it that when the U.S. became a wholly owned corporation, not a republic, the Constitution was totally subverted and replaced. America was sold outright from under the people. That was in 1871. And if you folks go to the Liberty Beacon and look it up, or just search for America Sold, the most heinous crime in American history, you'll see that we're still under that rule or that ruling group of people. It's the Rothschilds, and they came into this position because we were bankrupt from the Civil War, supposedly, and they bailed us out, and that's when they changed the whole direction of this country, and they finalized it with the bankruptcy of 1933. And this is all available for folks that want to look at it. So when anyone talks about the Constitution, it all sounds wonderful, but we're not there. We're not being regulated by that. The rules and regulations, everything is statutes, or mandates. It has nothing to do with the rule of law or common law. So I did send it to you, and it's a great article for folks, and especially Cynthia in California, who really seems to be very involved in studying history with the Constitution and the Federalist Papers. But it would be nice if we were under that, but we aren't. Everything has been completely run by the Rothschild banking cartel, and of course now since 1871, extensions of their family and their power. And would just happy that Roger put this out, because I've been talking about this for some time, and it seems like it just doesn't influence many of your people in your audience. They still feel that we're a constitutional republic.
Yes. John, impeccable point. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I hope that you might have done some research in chromium and vanadium for diabetes. I'm trying to find that article that I found years back in the 90s, in regards to that. Pardon me?
I'm saying good. I'm saying
I'm glad
that you're tracking it down.
No,
I haven't yet, but I'd look forward to. Go ahead, John.
Well, chromium and vanadium are things that our body needs to help protect the production of insulin, and this was presented first in the 90s, and it was exposed by, I think, Dr. Wallach, Joel Wallach. He had a book called Dead Doctors Don't Lie, but he mentioned the fact that it was created in the 40s, diabetes was, for the medical industry, to have specialties in every aspect of our body, and that if we cure diabetes, there wouldn't be much left for the medical model, because the body would be operating the way it is supposed to be. And just look up chromium and vanadium, folks, if you're dealing with diabetes. Your doctors aren't going to tell you about it. It's not part of their education. They give very little on supplementation.
Very good, John. Very good. You mentioned Cynthia. She just happens to be here. Cynthia, join the conversation, please.
Yes, I'm still here too.
Greetings,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
Go right ahead.
All right. there may be new listeners here, and they need to look at a site called reclaimingtherepublic.org, because there is a process set up in the Constitution for reclaiming your rights. You just have to follow the steps. And the steps are not easy. The Constitution was probably written by the extreme wealthy who were under control by the Bank of England, by the City of London. And they therefore felt safe committing fraud all along, even the fraud of the Civil War. That was not a constitutional effort, and the debt related to it was not the responsibility of the citizens of the Republic. That was fraudulent debt. And they, you can be invaded because of the debt level that your country has, and that was their full intention, was to take this country for themselves. They were behind all kinds of nefarious activities, but if you go back and you show the documentation, like Mike Gaddy is showing documentation of their committing fraud, but so is G.R. Mobley of Reclaiming the Republic. They need to join forces to reclaim the Republic and then have that constitutional convention to add in the parts and take out the parts that we need to keep it safe, to keep us safe. That's a multi-generation process. It's not something that occurs overnight. But until people started pulling out all the documentation, like the original 13th Amendment that suspiciously disappeared almost completely by the time of the Civil War, when there was, oh my God, a lawyer in the White House, and we need to be steadfast. We need to learn as much as we can, and we need to hold President Donald J. Trump, who, by the way, wrote in one of his books that he had a Kabbalah teacher when he was 19, which suggests that he was a Jew all along. Because
good. Very good, very good, very good, very astute. Go ahead.
So if you look at Henry Mackow's site, he explains that they're not going to teach the Kabbalah to a non-Jew. So we've been led down the path with Trump. He probably is preparing to sell off the country to pay off the debt that we do not owe. We do not owe that debt. Remember, we have 20 million members of the armed forces within our general public. We need to focus on them learning what the Constitution said and how it was violated again and again by families who were monarchists and who were representatives of the banksters. And people like George Bush. George Bush is related to the same family as Marie Antoinette. These people are all related in some form or fashion, and they think that they're above the law, and they've been behaving that way from day one. They've just kept it in the shadows and hidden, and now we're bringing it out. But we cannot trust that the Q movement is not, quote, quotation marks, Operation Trust, in quotation marks, which was a Soviet-era program to trick the public into believing the military was going to take their country back from the Bolsheviks. No, that was the Bolsheviks gathering information on who they needed to take out so they would hone the country. So I'm not saying that the Q people aren't good people. They may be people who've been tricked by a very sophisticated operation, and we need to keep that in mind, and we need to learn the Constitution and begin enforcing it at the county level. You know, there's the people in California who are taking part of California away, or attempting to. It's called the New California State Movement. We've got the people in Oregon who are attempting to separate from the rest of the state because they do not have a representative government there. Start taking back your country. Start taking it back piece by piece. Make sure that your kids are trained in the Constitution, and I highly recommend the materials at reclaimingtherepublic.org, even though I do not agree with his Christian ideals. I'm just saying, you don't have to believe 100% for somebody, just that they are attempting to be on the right track. Understand that you don't want to look at the Federalist Papers. You want to look at the ratification debates. Those are the ones that were not taught at law schools. That's where they explain what the Constitution was going to mean. And then they, generation after generation, they pulled us away from those understandings. But those are the original contract negotiations. and we need to hold them to it, and we need to do the accounting, and we need to take it back from these families. Everything from the wealthy people who got money to run a railroad across the new territory, they didn't have a constitutional right to that money. That was gold out of the Treasury. And then he did an unconstitutional war. Abraham Lincoln did an unconstitutional war and, printed up fake money, fiat money, and put us into debt. Just because it didn't happen, the actual negotiations with our creditors didn't happen during his lifetime doesn't mean that he wasn't responsible. And he was not a legitimate president. They had stopped letting the general public choose the presidential electors. You have the right to vote for a presidential elector. You do not have the right to vote for the president. You choose the wisest person you know in your community of 30,000 persons, and you designate them by a general vote to be your representative, to be the presidential elector, to choose the president. The wisest person you know.
Well,
You don't let those wealthy people running the political parties run your country into the ground anymore.
John,
Cynthia,
go ahead, John.
Yeah, I appreciate all of that, Cynthia, and you brought up the 13th Amendment. Well, on Republic Broadcasting, in the updates about one-third of the way down, John Stadtmiller received a 1861 book with the Constitution, and it had the 13th Amendment, which did not allow lawyers to be in our government. And so
really?
people can read. Yes, it's right at the
13th Amendment precluded lawyers from being in the government. That's fascinating. Fascinating.
Anybody that had ties to the royalty, and when you belong to the bar, you're part of the British accredited registry, and so your allegiance is to England or the Rothschilds. And Lincoln's name was not Lincoln; it was Springsteen. And if you go right above that, at the Republic, and listen to 5 days of John Stadtmiller explaining how we got to this point. He talks about the. I lost my train of thought. Well, he talks about Lincoln being Springsteen, but explains a whole lot more about the bankers and how they took us over. And I agree that this money is fraud. Everything is fraud, but we're dealing, and like you said, go locally. Well, I'm trying to expose this with the people that think they have authority, and they don't have authority if they don't publish in the Federal Register, Cynthia, and that's part of the bankruptcy of 1933. And if you can start, and these lawyers, they don't get. They're just part of the system, and the whole court system. It's administrative of the bankruptcy. So I do appreciate you really are on the right path. And most people don't realize. I know Lauren from Ohio does, that you're either a citizen of the United States or the citizen of America, and that takes back your sovereignty. You become a national. You're not a part of the United States the corporation.
Thanks, John. That's one of the best final thoughts we've ever had. Cynthia, go right ahead. Finish your thoughts.
Well, I'm not certain that G.R. Mobley would agree with his final statement about being a national. I do know that you're supposed to be a citizen of a state, and the state is supposed to be the ones determining who is allowed to be a citizen of their state and who's allowed to immigrate into their state. The federal government took that over in an effort to control the votes. But they didn't have a right to take it over.
One last statement here. There's a gentleman that has a radio program that used to be on this on Republican, and he's down in South America. He relocated there, but he's the one that has all of the information regarding becoming a national. And I had someone up here in northern Michigan meet me at one time at this recycle place, and on his back of his vehicle he said "National." That was his license plate, "National." And he says, "No, they can't stop me because I'm a national. I do not have any affiliation with the system. I can still collect my Social Security and everything else that I was put into it." But I think it's Rick something is his name. I think he has Rick Sales, I think. But there is a difference in status, Cynthia, and God bless both of you.
Thank you very much for all that. Cynthia, final thought?
please go to reclaimingtherepublic.org and start reviewing the podcasts related to the ratification debates. And starting some kind of contest in your community for the teachers who can write the best essays regarding the use of the ratification debates to protect your constitutional.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Jim in Michigan. Jim, join the conversation. Jim.
I'm waiting for the. Oh, there's the thing. That always throws me off, Jim, when you hear on my end when I call your program, and then when you put me on the air, it goes. Okay, it sounds exactly like
swish.
that.
Right
okay. Anyways, I think that was brilliant of you, Jim, to have John and the young lady on there, and I think that was a very reasonable and a very calm and really effective debate, and I think that was the best radio I've heard in a long time. I thought that was a brilliant idea of yours, and I'd like to see more of that because you have a lot of really smart people that call your program, but that was really informative. So thank you for that, Jim, and thank you for putting that together. That was brilliant, so.
Well, it was just coincidental. It just happened. I didn't even realize John was still there, so it just happened organically. I can't take credit for it. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I think that would have been something maybe in the future because I thought that was just amazing that people with different ideas on the same issue. So I thought that was I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and it was really civil, and it was just so wonderful. I thought that was a great idea, Jim. So,
excellent.
Anyways, maybe in the future you might think about that. Okay. So,
Jim, it just might happen again. Go right ahead.
Okay. No, I'm just that's why I called. I thought that was very cool.
That was
so,
the reason.
Anyways,
okay. All right, Jim.
Okay. All right,
much
bye-bye.
appreciated. Much appreciated. Renee, go ahead. Give us your thoughts, Renee. We're going to hit a break, and I'll carry you over.
Okay. Yeah,
Renee.
I agree with. I agree with the last caller. The thing is, John and Cynthia, the way they talked, it brought me back to how things were in the good old days, okay, before Trump. We live in this cesspool of lies, and a lot of it takes a lot of research. We've been lied to for like hundreds of years, because many historians lie. And so the thing is, it takes a lot of work and putting heads together with sincere people who are really trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And it's not easy. And so, like I say, they really brought me back because I agree a lot of the problems, a lot of what he was saying about the Bar Association and the lawyers, they... Remember, in Washington, D.C. is the highest concentration of lawyers, okay? And I'm sorry, so many of these people are absolute scumbags. Like I say, it involves a lot. Now, I want to go back to, like I say, I think, because I think of him and I feel so sorry for him, the now deceased Bill Cooper, because, like I say, nobody has it 100% figured out. So, if you bring up the one or two things a person gets wrong in order to discredit them, that really annoys me when people do that. But the thing is, I think he was a sincere, true
Stand by.
thinker. Okay.
Hold that thought, Renee. We'll be right back after this break.
Are you sick of...
Renee, you continue.
Yes. I don't know how new some people are. Like I said, they maybe don't know about Bill Cooper, but I think he was the real deal. And and I think that's why he was killed, was one, because I don't know if people know this story, but what happened was he used to be on the radio and everything, and he started getting all this information sent to him. And like you said, he didn't even know these people existed, like a lot of us didn't, because they kind of do this by stealth underground, and they kind of stay in hiding, okay? And they started sending him all this information thinking he was one of them. And there were a bunch of really racist white supremacist types. See, Bill Cooper was part Indian, and his wife was Chinese, and he had two precious little girls, which these types of people call mongrels, okay? So there was no way, and he does a whole show on this. It's still on YouTube about, he tells a lot of this stuff. But in other words, a lot of this, like I say, I know a lot of people are tempted to want to blame the group that they do not identify with. And this has been deliberately done to us to do this, to keep us divided and polarized and fighting, so we can't come together against the people who are the real problem. And so, it's not, I just love, like Jeffrey Sachs. What a good man. So it does annoy me when people just want to talk about the Jews, okay? It's the Zionists, and it goes back, and if you understand this whole British Israelism that kind of is also associated with these Christian Zionists, goes all the way back to Britain, okay? So British Israelism, learn about it, because it really started there. Because, I was so glad when McGregor talked about the Christian Zionists, because the thing is, the Jewish Zionists could not have ever gotten away with, because their numbers are too small, without the cooperation and collaboration with the English, the Americans, and the Christian Zionists. That has enabled them. We have funded them. We have propped them up. And in fact, they just voted again. I think 15 Democrats. Bernie floated a bill to stop them from sending some more bombs to Israel to bomb Gaza and stuff. And about 15 Democrats, I think only 15 of the Democrats didn't vote for it. All the Republicans did. So all these people want to blame everything on the left. Take a look on the right, okay? All your Republicans, just senators, just voted against the Bernie bill to try to cut down the amount of the bombs being sent. All the Republicans voted to send more of the bombs. All you evangelical Christian Zionists who supposedly care so much about life, and you're conservative, and you think being conservative and being Republicans akin to being Christian, they just sent more bombs to kill more people over there in Gaza. And so, I was really glad to hear what McGregor said about, bringing up this Christian Zionist, because I think people's bias, they do it so automatically, they don't realize they're doing it, and especially they've been indoctrinated since birth into this polarization, and we can't get in anywhere until we kind of conquer that. And there's one thing I'm really kind of scared of. I am terrified of a constitutional convention because of a lot of these cuckoo Christians that, see, the part of the Constitution they only like free speech when you say what they like, and they only like due process when it benefits them. In there also in that Constitution is the only people who would really have these rights are property-owning men. Women were denied owning property and the right to vote, and many of these cuckoo, conservative, fundamentalist evangelicals want to get rid of the amendment where women have the right to vote. Any person, I don't give a damn who you are, any human being who wants to take a right for themselves and deny it to another human being, you are a tyrant. They're okay with tyranny as long as they're the one wearing the boot on someone else's neck. And so if there was a constitutional convention with the types of people that are in power now, they would get rid of the amendments for like black people, who also in the Constitution calls them 3/5 of a person, okay? So the thing is, sometimes it's rotten people who like the bad parts of the Constitution, and if those people have power, God help us, okay? Because they only want power for themselves.
Renee, I think you're making an impeccable point that a constitutional convention would be a risky, potentially disastrous. If you want to change it, do an amendment. Propose an amendment, go through the... We can't improve on the Founding Fathers. They created a brilliant document with checks and balances and all kinds of rights and due process. It cannot be improved upon by a convention that could leave it tattered and torn. You've made a wonderful contribution today, Renee. In final thought?
Well, just,
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network.
Thanks, Renee.
Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Okay, we got a lot of callers here. I want about 5 minutes from each. Tom, go ahead. Tom in Florida, join the conversation. Take 5.
Yeah, well, Jim. Jim, I just got to say before I go to Trump, I got to say, ding, ding, ding. Jim, I think the show is starting to turn to the second hour of your show is turning into the I guess you call it the white man haters hour.
Tom, stop it. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that from you. If you got a decent argument to make, you make your argument. Stop attacking Renee. I won't tolerate it.
I didn't attack nobody. I'm trying to say I think Donald Trump.
Tom, if you're going to pull that bullshit on me, you're going to be gone forever. Don't do that to me. Don't try and pretend you're not doing what you're doing. We all see it, Tom. You be an honest broker, I'll treat you as an honest broker. And you try to pull little fraudulent nonsense on me, to hell with that.
I'm not pulling nothing fraudulent. I'm trying to say I think Donald Trump's done 100 days.
Renee, stop attacking Renee.
I didn't attack nobody. I'm saying that a lot of people are getting attacked by Donald Trump. In my opinion, has done a lot of wonderful things in 100 days. Today's his 100th day, Jim. I think in 100 days, Donald Trump's done more than anybody I remember.
Speak up for the wonderful things he's doing, Tom. Your time is running.
Yeah, I just want to say, I don't know if you saw the news today, though, Jim, but he's already deported over 185,000 illegals out of here, and he's still working at it. Okay? You got this Byron Donalds who's going to be the governor of Florida, telling the mayor of Boston she's full of crap.
No one's arguing about him on deportation, Tom. Nobody. Go ahead.
Well, I'm talking about deportations. Illegal.
I said no one's arguing against Trump on we all agree about deportation.
Okay, well then can I make my point? Do I get my time like everybody else?
Go ahead.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is, we all she was just attacking the Republican Party, but Jim, you didn't refute her at all. You didn't say, okay, enough of that, Renee, because she's attacking the Republican Party, who you happen to vote for, Jim. But you allowed her to attack all these senators.
I believe in freedom of speech, Tom. Just stop attacking Renee, for crying out loud. Don't you get that? Yeah. Let's see, we got JP. Go ahead, JP. But as I say, time's shorter today, especially because I want to do something at the end. Go ahead, JP.
Okay, I'll be brief. Hey, where was that interview with Victor Hugo? I would love to hear that. Where can I find that?
Well, if you go to the show, it's the last 2 links you want to watch. It's on my BitChute channel, and it was middle of week last week. It's called, you'll find it pretty easily. But if you also just go to the story links for today, it's the last 2 you want to check out. The last 2.
Okay, and I'd like to compliment you today on that improv. That's what we call it in the arts, improvisation. That's how the whole... sometimes on mistakes, good things happen, Yeah,
I agree.
But I'd like to say I can piss people off. The truth will piss you off. It'll wake you up, but it will really piss you off when you find the truth out. And what the first 2 callers were getting into, I was actually briefed. Now I'm past the the disclosure period, but I was briefed in 2012 about the power structure of the Earth. And literally, it's London, Vatican, Rome, D.C., the city-states, and these elite families that run it all. Now, now it's coming out. A lot of things are coming out, and also the judges are the backstop. They're the third branch of government. They are the backstop, and these lawyers are all working with the bar, and it all goes back to London, the money. And that's the truth. But when you find that out, it changes your whole reality on the world and how it works. And most people are just discovering this now, or you and I probably knew about this decades ago. But the thing is, when you get too close to the truth, like Bill Cooper and Stadtmiller, they were whacked. I'm pretty sure they were whacked on purpose because they were getting too close to the truth. So you got to be careful, especially on these programs. And that's why I'm not yelling out the JEW word, because I know they control everything. Larry Fink runs 80% of the S&P. I worked for him in a mortgage company in IT back 2008. They use a supercomputer to buy up all the stocks because they're there with fiber optics and they're real close to Wall Street. And then their Aladdin is what's scooping up all the stocks. They've been buying up all the stocks in Wall Street to the point now where he pretty much runs Wall Street. So this is where we're at, and they do run everything. So that's, I hate to be pessimistic, but
no, I agree. We gotta accurately appraise the scope of the problem if we're to do anything about it. And I was fascinated that Cynthia discovered that Trump had this instruction only for Jews when he was a kid. I mean, that's pretty damn fascinating.
Yeah, that's the Masonry. Masonry is Judaism for Gentiles. And I've studied all their stuff. I've studied all their stuff, brother. I know how they think. I know how they operate. But I know my enemy, and I'm not going to get myself killed spouting the Jew word all the time, you know. Anyways, the truth is true, and nothing else is true. And you got to stand up for the truth. And God bless you for doing that. I really appreciate your work, sir.
JP, you asked this thing about Victor Hugo, and if I have a chance, I want to do play a little clip at the end, which is why I'm being a little tighter on time.
Okay.
But I also got this. It's from a fellow who used to work with Hugo, has turned on him and exposed him as not just a narcissist, but he actually calls him out as pathological. Well, one comment about it is very, very telling by a Free Mind Music says, Victor is an obvious Jew plant. All on TV, WTF, what could be more obvious? Starts off trying to make the Navy look bad. A few years later, back on TV, saying taxpayer money for shit Jew modern art is money well spent. A few years later, he's on TV interviewing porn stars, saying porn is great. He's a Jew plant, my vid, Victor Chutzpah Hugo. I made after I heard Victor say that. He said the chutzpah these Jews is just, and then he stopped when he realized that he's an obvious Jew. His job is to name the Jew as much as he can and then collect info on anyone who agrees with him. In other words, he's a vacuum cleaner for people they're eventually going to want to eliminate. I'm afraid. I think that's what's going on here. Go ahead.
Yep.
JB, final.
We called these guys out a long time ago. No More News was another one. You could tell when they get invited to Israel and they get special perks and they get free trips to Israel, those are the guys you got to watch, especially when they're pushing this white nationalist stuff. You got to watch it because it gets you listed. Now, under Trump, it might be different, but before, with the Democrats running everything, that gets put on a list. You get targeted and your life gets turned upside down. And this has happened to me and a lot of people I know in intelligence agencies that actually try to speak the truth, and they get burned, man.
Well, I got all these colleagues. I got these wonderful colleagues, and he's making these vicious, sadistic videos attacking each and every one of them on completely fabricated grounds. I mean, it's just disgusting. I'm repulsed by it, which is why I'm bringing it up today, because I could use a hand here. If you look at some of these videos, and you think they're obnoxious, if that's your judgment, report them. They got a flag thing. You can flag them. You can say this is SHI. Get this off of BitChute. Get this off of Rumble. I'm making an effort legally to get it all taken off. I'm writing to Rumble. I'm writing to BitChute. We've made lots of complaints. I would like a hand if anyone there wants to lend a hand.
Okay.
JP, thank you.
I'll
my
definitely
friend.
look
Good.
at the video today and let
Thank
you
you.
give my input on it.
Another caller from Chicago, Jerry. Jerry, join us, Jerry from Chicago.
Oh, hey, thanks for taking my call, Dr. Fetzer. Just to add on to what these guys were talking about, Abraham Lincoln was not really, by law, allowed to run as president because he was a lawyer, and that's Bar Association, British Accredited Registry. He was ranked higher than an he was ranked lower than an esquire. Okay, over in England. So, okay, and then going into Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper, his whole family was part of the military. So he decided he would join, at 18 years old, he would join the Air Force. And he did a stint, 3 or 4 years. He was an Air Force airplane mechanic, working on things and everything. And when he got out, he was kind of lost, and he always loved the sea. So he decided, hey, wait, I think I'm going to go and try to join the Navy. And he got a stint. He asked for Pearl Harbor, and they said, do you have a request, whether it be above the water surface boats, or would you mind being on a submarine? He says, I don't care. And one of his duties on that boat was to man the conning tower, I think 4-hour shifts. Yeah. And while he was on the conning tower, he seen something come out of the sky and dive right into the ocean that was about the size, two times the size of an aircraft carrier, and it didn't leave a ripple in the water. And the other guy that was next to him seen the same thing, and he says, hey, did you see that? Well, yeah. How the hell do we? They're going to think we're crazy. So then I don't know what. I don't know all the rankings and stuff like that. Somebody came up to man the shift with them, a higher ranked person, and he says, anything peculiar? And they're both looking at each other, and they're like, we really didn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, the same ship comes back out of the ocean and takes off. And now he got a higher ranking. He got a higher ranking for security. They had a meeting with him. Nobody was allowed to leave the craft when it came back and docked. Nobody was allowed to get off the ship until somebody questioned the people who were involved and everything else like that. He ended up having a higher ranking. Yeah. But that was one of the stories I remember Bill Cooper talking about. So, hey, and that's all I wanted to say. Get to your next caller.
Oh, Jerry, you got a lot of good stuff. Thank you for that. Let's see here. Alexander in Canada. Be concise, Alexander. Welcome.
Yes, hi. I want to make a couple of points. Actually, just one point. I'm just calling because I respectfully disagree with one of the points that were mentioned.
Sure. You're welcome to disagree. Everyone's welcome to disagree. Just don't make it personal. Go ahead.
Yes. Now, what I disagree with, sir, is that the Israel was created because of the support made by the British, by the Christian Zionists. You see, that's not true. The Christian Zionists were irrelevant. If you look at the record, the British made a deal with the Balfour Declaration. That was done with Rothschild. The Rothschild was running the show. He was way more powerful than all the Christian Zionists put together.
Yes. I think you're correct. Yes. Go ahead.
And see, if you look at the record, a lot of British Christians were against the creation of Israel, and this was mentioned by Layla, I think 2 weeks ago. She mentioned a bunch of British MPs were against the creation of Israel because British already made a deal with the Arabs in World War I to fight against Turkey, and that was that was a very successful plan. That helped ambush the Ottoman Empire, because the Ottoman Empire was already being attacked by the Armenians with the support of the Russians on the other side with the Greeks. But the thing is, when the British made a deal with the Jews, that's when the British got screwed. And also, so if you look at the record, that the British people attacked the Jews attacked the British by killing them and bombing them and so on. So see,
yes.
if you look at the British, there were many British politicians, British people in the military, British people in the intelligence, the MI6. They were against the creation of Israel because see, so the creation of Israel, when the British brought the Jews in, there were so many problems. And see, so a study was done in England in 1937 when there was about 350,000 Jews in the country already in Palestine, and the study resulted was that all the problems started with the British. Well, the problems were started by the Jews. If the Jews were never brought in to Palestine in the first place, Palestine would be so much peaceful.
Alexander, that's good. That's all good. That's all good. Thank you for that. By the way, in response to further questions about Victor Hugo, just go to BitChute and put in Victor-Hugo, Jim Fetzer. You're going to be dumbfounded by what you're going to see. Video after video after video, page after page after page, you're going to be staggered. Or do the same thing on Rumble. Victor-Hugo, Jim Fetzer, and see what you find. Meanwhile, back to the calls. Murr in Wisconsin. Join Murr.
Hi there, Jim, or as I like to call you, Fetz.
Yeah, it's fine.
For Cynthia, we have the website Michael Gaddy, that's GADDY, .substack.com. Be sure and subscribe there. And he's not only on this network, but he does several other things, calls, and he has Teach Me True History on Telegram, and there's a free conference call to participate Tuesday nights with that. You can look into that. And also on Jim Ram's program, which is YourDIYHealth.com, and that's on Thursdays from noon to 2 Central Time, and that has a free conference call, too, that you can call in and participate. But on Saturday, they were away at a get-together, a meet-up in Alabama, and Mike had asked me to sit in on his show, his 3-hour show, Rebel Man Radio. And I think Cynthia heard that there because what I played was a 40-minute segment from Jim Ram's show of Mike reading Meryl Jensen's, reporting how we can actually take back the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, which were better than the Constitution. The more you look into this, the Constitution isn't what we're told at all. It was illegal at the time, and it was fraud. They contended to meet in Philly to correct things and make it stronger. But what they were trying to do was make it more like a monarchical government and make it what it is today, a monster, actually. They just wanted the power instead of King George. And the Articles of Confederation were better for everyone, for the states. You couldn't get anything moved unless the states agreed. There wasn't this unlimited taxation like we have in the Constitution or standing army. There's just a lot, so much better. So we need to look into that. And you can listen to that in the archives. And then from the Teach Me True History, I played one of his segments there where he talks about the soldiers, how 1/4 of the Union soldiers were foreign and brought in. And yes, Lincoln was a Jew, and all these German foreigners from the 48ers, 1848ers that had fought over there. A lot of them didn't even speak English. And then he compared it to the Confederate soldiers, who many of them were second generation after their forebears having fought and won the revolution.
We don't need to refight the war between the states.
No.
Look,
that's not what I'm doing. You're not listening. You're not listening, Jim. You're not listening, Jim. I hope the other listeners are.
I'm listening.
Well, you're
I think
not.
you're getting a little careful. I think you're getting just a tad.
Listen,
Look,
I'm not talking about fighting. Jim, I'm not talking about fighting any wars. I'm talking about going back to what's better. I'm not talking about replacing the Constitution. I'm talking about what preceded it, and it was better. And also, I wanted to give the website for Roger Sales, is who John in Michigan was talking about, and that is thematrixdocs.com. That's DOCS, thematrixdocs.com. And yes, I changed my status to a national from a citizen. The feudal system is what we're under. The Secretary of State in D.C. is basically the feudal landlord. You can send a simple affidavit in there, and you can learn how to do that there. I sent one sentence in, and it helped me wherever I needed to use it. So learn how to do that. If everyone did that, they couldn't hold on to us. Because what now they're doing is property. And I don't know if I've sent it to you, but I will again if I haven't. Sarah's story, and I read that or played that on my show early on, 16 and a half minutes, and Sarah tells how her and her husband's and their child's affidavits making them nationals actually saved the child from being taken and kept by CPS. So if it only worked for one time, that one time, it was great. All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
We got James in Vancouver. James, join the conversation. James. Oh, no. I wanted him. Wow. Okay. Well, look, we do have ex-Gentile here under another name. Ex-Gentile, I don't like your using another name to evade your identification. If you want to have...
I gave you my real name, sir. That's because too many people have been asking me what's my real name. So my name is John Seals. I'm from Missouri. And it seems like somebody has issues. You know, they don't want censorship, but they want to censor me. I'm not going to talk about that. I got some good information. And it's just a shame that I got to spend $20 a month on a phone service that allows my number to be hidden so I could call into RBN when I could be donating that money. I've already given a couple $100, but the national is right with Roger Sales. He shows every day.
Stop beating around the bush. Say what you want to say.
I just said. Thanks for interrupting me, but being that you interrupted, I was talking about the Nationals with Roger Sales. John and Cynthia were talking about that in the morning. I've been an American national for almost 4 years now and ain't paid no dang federal or state income tax legally. I mean, you guys need to you guys dropped the ball on that one. And then, you know, I've warned you all about not voting for Trump because now that blood's on your hands. Just remember that. The blood is on y'all hands who have voted for that.
So are you saying we should have voted for Kamala and Walz? Thanks. I've heard. We got enough from you. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, I was going to, give you a little introduction to the great debate. It was a rope-a-dope. I knew this guy is vicious, nasty. He was going to talk over me. So I had to figure out a strategy. And it was basically just plow ahead, even though he was going to try to do everything he could to interrupt, to talk over. There's a lot of talking over. But I got him to admit that he dropped out of an ambulance after 1 year. He was merely a midshipman, that he was never commissioned as an ensign. He never served a day as a Navy officer. He had no active duty, which contradicts the false advertising he's done on Give, Send, Go. He has 2 Give, Send, Go sites. They both begin with veteran, who's speaking truth to power, veteran, living abroad. It's wrong. It's false. It's stolen valor. So I've written to Give, Send, Go to document it, and there you have him admitting himself. This guy's a phony, a fraud. He's unbelievably sadistic and vicious. And I'm just saying, if you check him out, if you think there's something there that you find objectionable, don't just take my word for it, that you find objectionable, you have the opportunity to report it to Rumble or to BitChute. And if you happen to do that, maybe they'll pay more attention. Because I'm going batty trying to get him to get this stuff off the air. It's very, very bad. It's very harmful. It's hurting colleagues of mine who are good and decent people who are doing their effort to expose the truth. He's trying to sabotage every bit of it. It's really stunning stuff. So the other about the stolen valor is a fellow named Charlie who used to do, bits for Victor Hugo, including parodying me. I don't mind people parodying me, but if it's better for a good cause rather than bad anyway, he had second thoughts about it. He called me to tell me to put together a 9-minute denunciation of Victor, and he just wanted to let me know he was planning to do it. We had a cordial conversation for 20 minutes, and then he went ahead, he put it up, and he did a further shorter video just after having had the conversation with me. But that was all his own choice. He realized what was going on was very, very wrong. And now I just got to convince BitChute and Rumble that this is a guy they need to deplatform because he's causing a lot of people a lot of harm, a lot of hurt. The percentage of his lies is staggering. You can do a whole show and virtually nothing he says is true. So just do your best, assess it however you like. Meanwhile, look, I appreciate diverse points of view, but I do not like personal attacks. And I know there are a lot of who are very fond of Tom. He's been here forever. He always has a lot to say, but he has a bad habit of attacking people personally, and I don't like that. I don't want it. You're welcome to say anything you want to say. I think Alexander is setting a good example. He's making a lot of valuable points, but he's doing it in a highly professional, objective fashion. Alexander knows a lot about history. I appreciate his call. And it was true. And I liked how Jim from Michigan picked up on how having John and Cynthia there, and that interaction at the early part of the show was really good. Really good. So I conclude, spend as much time as you can with your family, your friends, the people you love and care about. We do not know how much time we have left. Use it wisely. Support RBN. And come back tomorrow and join the conversation. See you then.